All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Community Focus here in Nelson County. Glad you could join us tonight. I'm Kenny Fogle, your host. We're going to have an interesting show as always. We're glad you could join in. Got a special guest in the studio today, Mr. Jim Lemieux. Jim, first of all, appreciate you showing up.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Well, you've been a fixture in Nelson County. I'm not going to say you're old or anything, but you've been around here a little while. For the last many years, we've been talking about road department and many in engineering or anything of that nature in Nelson County. It's Jim Lemieux.
I guess you had me on here because I'm retiring.
Well, yeah, that's we sort of. We shouldn't do that, should we? We ought to have people on there anytime.
Should have had me on here 26 years ago when I started, I guess. I started with the county in 91, 26 years ago. Been out of school, college for about 10, 12 years. They wanted to get a new program going, solid waste program, landfill program, and I put an application in and they hired me. I'm from Bardstown, basically. Yeah. Moved here when I was 1 year old.
Well, so, I guess that makes you pretty much a native.
Pretty much a native. So, 26 years have gone by fast.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, we'll get into a little bit of the landfill. Been quite a success story out there, but just a little bit about Jim Lemieux right now. At what point? I mean, background as to what made you want to get into the engineering world.
Well, when in school I was good at math, and I thought that'd be the thing to go into. You know, so you know did pretty good in high school in math, and engineering is very, very math related. I guess so. You got to be good math, you got to like it if you want to be in engineering.
Yeah, I thought about it one time. Pre-calculus pretty much told me I was never going to be an engineer. So
yeah, it's a tough field. It's really tough. It doesn't let up. I've got 3 kids, and 2 of them have graduated in engineering, and none of it was easy for them. You know, they did good in high school. All 3 did good in high school. One of them decided she's going to go a different direction, which is fine with me. You know, I didn't push them in any area, but it's a hard profession to get a degree, and it really is. But you know, I started off. I went to graduated Bardstown High. Went to got a partial scholarship to Western Kentucky. Went there for 2 years, but they didn't have accredited engineering, so I transferred to the University of Kentucky and then graduated from there. Started working at Marble Hill Nuclear Power Plant, which was a new construction site for about 4 years, and they shut that down. Then went working for a state highway department, ended up working for the Department of Defense at Fort Knox, and from Fort Knox came to Bardstown, Nelson County.
Well, the thing about being an engineer, like you said, you could write your own ticket to a lot of places in the world, but you chose to come back to Nelson County. Is it just the home drew you back home, or what was it? Yeah,
well, you know, I've been driving back and forth. You know, I got married about 3 years out of college, and then we just started, wanted to raise a family, and figured Bardstown was the best place to raise a family, and that proved true. And you know, Louisville's close enough to drive to visit. Living there, we lived there for a year as soon as we got married, but decided to make our home in Bardstown in Nelson County, and that's where we've been living ever since.
Well, engineering, like you said, is a very encompassing thing. I mean, I know you mentioned the landfill, but there's a lot more to it than that. You probably had to oversee a lot more projects and things that, and some probably you never thought about when you first got out of college, that you would be doing. But it's probably a pretty all-encompassing field, isn't it?
Well, the engineering is and can be a lot of different things. You know, you learn a specific area in college, and it seems like that's not what you use when you get out of college. That's typical with any degree, probably.
Right.
As county engineer, you do see a lot of different projects. I've worked on renovation of buildings, HVAC renovation at the jail, bridges, roads, landfills, you know, get new programs started, garbage collection, solid waste, buying equipment, things like that. They don't teach you that stuff in school, so you pick it up and you learn, and you listen to all the people that know what they're talking about and learn from those guys. And
now, prior to you coming to Nelson County doing that, it really wasn't an engineer as such doing what you did, was it?
No, there wasn't an engineer at the road department. There was a road department supervisor, which you can have. The county engineer is, there's a KRS that says road department should have an engineer, but if you don't have an engineer, you can have a supervisor as long as he's got road department construction experience, and that's what they had at that time. The fellow there, when I came at the landfill, I really didn't do a whole lot with the road department, other than draw up plans for bridges and things that helped them out. But after about 15 years, he quit, and they pushed me into the landfill also. I mean, into the road department also.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sort of grew, and as you said, the landfill about 26 years ago, when you come in, was sort of in its infancy to some degree. It's grown into quite an operation out there. As a matter of fact, I was just out there Monday this week, and it's growing bigger and bigger every time I go out there. So it's you're doing something right out there.
Well, yeah, it's in the early 90s, they decided that you can't just have a dump anymore. They had to be contained landfills, so they got complicated. Groundwater monitoring and contained landfill construction, things like that. So, it had to be run like a good business, or it could break a county if you're not careful. So you had to build it right by regulations, which we exceeded all regulations, which was nice, and then you had to operate it like a business with garbage collection and whatnot. So it's a big business. It really is, and it has to be run right. And the staff we got behind me, and it's going to move up instead of me, are very good, and they'll do a good job at it.
Well, over the last 26 years, you had any high points or low points that sort of stand out towards you, or you something you don't want to not think about?
High points, I don't know. I guess the things I enjoyed more than the things I didn't enjoy. The landfill was tough. I don't know if you call that a low point, but it was a very, very hard thing. It was a site that met no environmental rules, regulations, compliance, and we had to get it changed at 100%. And that wasn't easy. You're dealing with Division of Waste, EPA, in Frankfurt, and they were hard to deal with. But that was, I don't call it a low point, but that was the hardest part of my career, I guess you'd say, is getting that thing up and running. Once we got it up and running and the landfill cells built, then it leveled out. Projects that I've done are what I've enjoyed. A big thing that we did in this county was get rural water to majority of the people in Nelson County. Dean Watts, county judge, and Dan Kelly and others at Frankfurt helped get the money, and I designed a lot of water lines. Bid them out. It was a cheaper way to do it if we could design them in-house and bid them out. And so that's pretty much a high point if you really look at it. The landfill being financially working, and then the water line projects came along about the same time. And we got potable water along most county roads. It's not 100%, but it's close,
Well, you've been an advisor, obviously, to the fiscal court for the past many years, and as an engineer, I'm sure that gives you the credibility and the knowledge, probably more so than they have collectively, to depend on you to make some decisions they have to make. Yeah,
that's part of my job is to advise and recommend and give them estimates on work, projects, things like that, And, whether they listen to me or not, that's a different story. So.
Well, has the engineering world changed a lot since you first got into it? Or is it basically one of those things that stays pretty stable?
The tools of engineering have changed, and what that does is you use less people to get a project out.
Yeah.
When I started, I was hand drafting waterline projects, and that was a trick. You had to get an aerial photograph mailed from Frankfurt, put it on Mylar, draw the water lines, and run it through a blueprint machine and bid it out that way. As it evolved, it's all out of CAD. We got CAD, then we got aerial photography from the state, and their color pictures. And you could look at a set of drawings I did the first set and a set of drawings I did 10 years later, and there's a big difference. And you had to teach yourself the computer. There's nobody taught you. It's not taught in school. They don't have time to teach you.
Yeah.
So that's a big change, and technology keeps changing, and it gets emails now. It used to be letters in writing, which was a little slower process. You could send a letter out in the mail and wait a couple of weeks to have to respond to their response, and now it comes in 5 minutes, so you're under the gun quite a bit. It's good, technology's good, but it pushes you hard too sometimes. So.
Yeah, I know when I worked at the transportation cabinet in Frankfurt for just a little while, and UK engineers had somewhat of a good brotherhood, I guess you would say. So I guess you work together quite a bit with a lot of people throughout the state in a lot of things you've been doing.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, we're fortunate. We had a couple engineers in Frankfurt that were head of the bridges department and high up in the roads department, Mark and Dan Height, who have since retired, and Brad Spaulding and myself routinely call those guys up on advice on how to do a project, and they worked very well with us. And anybody in Frankfurt would help the county government out on something like that. So, that's where I got a lot of education on bridges and road designs and things like that. Again, you don't learn that in school because you don't have the time to learn all that. So it's got to be on the job training. With those guys in Frankfurt giving us a big assistance, it worked out nice. 26
years, you feel like you've run your course, or what are you just looking forward to another chapter in your life?
Well, it's time, with the county government, I've done enough here, and it's time to call that quits, Do I want to quit work completely? No, I don't think I do. I'm going to take a month or so, I guess, and take it easy. Most of the time during Christmas and New Year's, it's snowing.
Yeah.
I have to come in on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or Christmas Day. I've been in on Christmas days doing snow, assisting the road department. Kroger Phillips does a great job at managing that, but you always need backup at that position when he handles all the calls and things like that, and he does a very good job on that. But I don't leave him hanging, so I always come in on Christmas Eve too.
But this winter, you're going to look out the window and watch it snow?
Because every time everybody say, "Well, I love snow at Christmas," and I just think I hate it. But this time I'm going to just grin. So.
Well, yeah, like I said, you did 26 years, and I know it's not been an easy job over the years, because I know what engineers do, and there's a lot of responsibility been put on your shoulders over the years. So we do appreciate what you've done. I know people out there, and as we mentioned when we first come on the air, we're talking about retiring now. This is something you've been doing for 26 years, and a lot of people just simply take it for granted that somebody's out there, that somebody's designing the roads or designing a bridge or inspecting something and getting the snow off. As I know we've talked before on here, the snow just doesn't come off the road and things like that on its own. I mean, somebody's got to keep us safe.
Right. And I'll tell you what, we've got a good crew at the road department. And we've got two good engineers. We hired a new engineer to run the landfill, and he'll assist Brad. Brad's Spaulding will be promoted into my position. And he's had 17 years with the county, So, and I've learned as much from Brad as he's learned from me. So it'll work. He'll do a good job. And John Greenwell's the new engineer at the landfill. He brings in a new thing. He's a younger fella, and he's got more technological savvy, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ask him a question and he can't answer my question sometimes, and I think it's because he's busy more than
there you go.
Doesn't know the answer to how you make a CAD something work on a computer, So, but they're good people. They're sharp, very sharp, and good common sense. You need both. Some engineers are good engineers, but managing road departments and county governments, working with county governments takes more than being a sharp engineer, So
yeah, you need a few political skills, I would think as well.
I'm probably lacking in the political skills as much. I've been told I'm a little too blunt. I shouldn't have said that in court, things like that. But that's But sometimes you need that too. So
Barstown always going to be, or Nelson County going to be home, I guess.
Yes.
Not planning on moving anymore.
No, we're not. My wife Holly and I plan on staying till whenever. We don't have any plans to move. Our kids are out of school and on their own, and that's I've been waiting on that too, I guess you'd say. Getting them through school and college is a pretty big task. You thought that wouldn't end. I didn't think it'd end when I was in school. And now I didn't think it'd end when they were in school, but it ended, and it ended quick. And you look back, and it's flown.
Well, when people find out you're retired, there's all kinds of people going to be coming out of the woodwork trying to get you to do stuff, whether it's paid for or volunteer. They're going to be looking for you. So I'm sure you're going to stay quite busy in the next several years.
Well, I look forward to that. I mean, if I don't want to do it, I won't do it. But
Yeah.
if, I won't be pushed for time now, that's for sure.
You'll be working for you.
Correct, yes.
Well, like I said, we appreciate you coming on here and appreciate your 26 years of service to Nelson County and the people and the citizens here, because again, we take for granted a lot of things going on, and this is how our tax dollars are being spent and how they're being conserved and how they're being used properly. So we appreciate everything you've done. So
Well, I appreciate
we want to give you a big thank you, and that's why we get you in here. I know it's a shame we have to wait to retirement to do it, but we do want to thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on your show.
All right, well, Jim, appreciate Jim Lemieux. He's the county engineer for the Nelson County. He's going to be retiring, and again, we appreciate all he's done. Appreciate what he's going to still continue to do. And so, again, Jim Lemieux, the county engineer for Nelson County. Stick around. A lot more to come here on Channel 6 TV Community Focus. You stick around after these messages. We'll be right back.